The Ian Watkins prison murder trial, and why did it collapse? Well, that's what I'm going to break down for you in this episode, people. Because on Friday, there was a hung jury, or the jury collapsed, which in other words, I'll get to a little bit further on. It's called a deadlock. Now, I have been covering this case, obviously, and I did cover it last week about Rico Goodell and what he said in court. I did cover the previous week what Dodsworth said, Dodsworth the other bacon, when I said he was grassing Rico Goodell up. And I said, but we don't care about Dodsworth. Dodsworth was obviously totally stitched up himself, used as a lookout and been roped in on the murder. So I'll not need to go over the Ian Watkins murder case extensively, but I will give a quick brief one. Ian Watkins was brutally murdered inside of HMP Wakefield. Ian Watkins was the lead singer of the Lost Prophets, and he is now a well and truly lost prophet. Lost, never to be found. So, when I done the video last week about Rico Goodell, I was saying I can't understand why it's even going to trial. But then I did say the reason why I believe he's took it to trial, because he stood up in the witness box and said, yes, it was me that done it. It was me that went in the pad. It was me that killed him. And then he said, dead pedos don't reoffend, or something along those lines. And I was wondering to myself, what is he took it to trial for instead of trying to get a plea deal? But I was saying I do believe he might have been trying to get manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility. So when the jury has been out, they couldn't reach a decision. They were deliberating for a lot of hours and they couldn't come to a decision. So obviously the judge gets updated from the jury to see how they are coming along, and the jury pass cards backwards and forwards. The usher takes it to the judge and whatever, and they are then saying that they can't reach a decision. He gives them extra time and says, if extra time, will you then be able to come to a decision? So my take on this, that they couldn't come to a decision on Dodsworth because, like I did say in the video that I'd done about him, even though he's a wrong'un himself, he was in for the rape of a woman. He took to the witness stand and he said he didn't know what was going on. He thought Goodell was ransacking his pad. That was the reason why he was up on the landing, standing so close, because he thought he was getting robbed. So that's the reason why he said he was so close up on the landing. And he says when Rico Goodell has come out of the pad, he's passed him the murder weapon after he's done it. He says he didn't know what he was doing. He's just getting a hold of it, walked away and went and chucked it in the bin. And obviously when the alarm bells have all been sounded, when they know what's going on, Rico Goodell has been seen. They've went up to him and he's walked past his pad as he's been getting escorted, and he says, is he dead? Sleep well. And like I've said, he didn't deny the murder one little bit. So that was the reason why they wouldn't have come to a decision on Dodsworth, because they will not know whether or not truly 100% they knew whether or not he played a role in it. Like I said in my video, that was a takedown that done. He got used because he's a fucking wrong'un. He got used. And we don't care because he would have spent, or he will be spending extra time inside of prison. But Rico Goodell, he's played his cards right when he's came up and give his side of the story, because the reason why they cannot come to a decision on Rico Goodell is because he said in his own words, he said, I'll just find it here because I've got it up in front of us, what he actually said. I'm not here to prove my innocence. I admit to what's happened. I take full responsibility for what's happened. But, he said, but them prison officers should also be here facing charges and be up on trial for murder as well, for letting it take place. Because just the day before, he attacked 3 prisoners. And they were obviously Bacon's nonsense. And like I stated in the video, did these prison officers want to get rid of Watkins? So what did they do? Put him next door to one of the most high-profile Bacon's horrible wrong'uns in the entire prison, not just on the wing. They've put him next door to him. He's already said, I want to be moved prisons because I don't like being around ex-offenders. Because one of my family members was assaulted and things had happened when he was younger with family members or whatever, and he has a deep hatred for them. So he said, remove me from the prison. He's attacked 3 prisoners the previous day. So instead of taking him out of the situation, putting him in the block, transferring him to a different prison, because he's already stated, I hate Bacons. I fry Bacons. I want to fry Bacons. He has absolutely stated 100% what he's going to do. And he said he'll attack more ex-offenders. I'll just refer to them as Bacons because you can't say SAX too many times on here because it'll flag up. So he has said he's got a deep hatred for them and he wants removed from the wing, from the prison. He wants moved prisons. So where was their duty of care? Where was their duty of care for the Bacons? Even though we don't care about the Bacons. And where was the duty of care towards him when he says, I'm going to attack more Bacons. I don't like them. I don't want to be housed with them. So what have they done? They put him right next door to Ian Watkins, the most prolific, high-profile Bacon in Wakefield. And this was just the night before. So what happens in the morning of unlock? He's only been unlocked for half an hour. And within half an hour, he's got his makeshift weapon, which was a piece of cutlery with razor blades sellotaped to the end. He's went in, stabbed him and sliced him 3 times, and he's bled out within minutes, dead within minutes. So that is the reason the jury can't come to a decision because, excuse me, because he is saying, yes, I admit to doing it, but it wouldn't have happened if they didn't put us there. So he's saying, I'm admitting it, I'm putting my hands up, but the prison officers should be on trial for murder as well because they have put me next door to him when I've got childhood trauma of Bacon's. So where was the duty of care? So you can see why the jury did come to a non-decision, because a deadlock occurs when a jury cannot agree on a verdict after extensive deliberation. And lack of remorse and conflicted intentions, it says on here, divided mindset. He stated that when he launched the attack, his heart was telling him Watkins deserved it, but his brain told him it was the wrong thing to do. He remarked, there was a part of me that wanted him to die. There was another part of me that didn't want him to die. And it also goes on to say, when asked by a defence lawyer if he was glad Watkins was dead, Goodell responded somewhat, adding that he wasn't losing any sleep over it, which obviously he wouldn't if you've got a hatred towards him like that. So he says he admitted the only guilt he experienced was regarding Watkins' real-world victims, wondering if they would have preferred Watkins to continue suffering a hard time in prison rather than being removed altogether and being given the death sentence. But it did go on to say that the factors surrounding the collapse, alongside the deadlock, Mr. Justice Hilliard cited broader, unspecified legal reasons and concerns by jurors during deliberations that threatened the overall fairness of the trial. And also, legal experts noted the case faced severe emotional tension, and just days before the collapse, the judge explicitly instructed the jury to ignore any public sympathy or personal disapproval toward the defendants regarding Ian Watkins' notorious past child offences. So that is what was going on in the days before the jury went out to do their deliberating. There was tensions arising. Obviously, they knew the judge must have known what was going on outside the court. People saying whatever they've been saying about him being a wrong'un, and obviously they're all would have gotten wind of it, that it's in the press and different things about what Rico Goodell had said about the past childhood trauma that he'd experienced by a family member had been tampered with. And of course, obviously the jury listening to that are going to have sympathy, and they're going to think this poor man who was in the dock for killing Watkins, they're probably all thinking prison justice was deserved as well. And they're probably thinking that he told the screws what he was going to do. The day previously, he attacked 3 bacons. What more can you do to tell them that you don't like them? End one of them. And that's exactly what has happened, and that's exactly what happened in the case of Sir Bob Maudsley, when he was let down by the system, and he was let down by being transferred to Wakefield when he was a known bacon killer. He'd already killed 2 bacons, so what did they do? Send him to a bacon prison. Figure that one out, people. And that is probably what the jury was trying to figure out themselves. If he's saying all of this, then why send him there? So they couldn't reach a decision. And that is the reasons, people. Because there is a few people being saying to us, can you find out what happened, why the case collapsed? I was going to do this video over the weekend, but weekend videos don't get as many views. So I thought I would leave it for it during the week, so it gets as many views as possible, because a lot of people, like I say, don't watch the videos on a weekend, then it doesn't get seen. But everyone wants to know exactly what is going on. But the trial is a retrial set for February of next year, and I will keep you updated. But the cards have been played right in this case, but we'll see what happens in the next trial. But I will keep you updated. I won't say any more on the matter. I'll just keep you updated. People, hopefully you are enjoying that content. And if you are, remember to comment, like and subscribe. Take care, everyone. And more importantly, stay safe.